Back. This is SOA Consulting Services, Steve Bonacantri, giving you another tutorial on how to configure a NodeJS application. I'm using my company website. An example, this is a website that I recently redesigned using HTML5, Bootstrap, AngularJS, Node.js, and MongoDB. So when I look at this user interface, I think about what I might need as from an Angular point of view, and I also have to think about what I might need from a Node.js perspective. When I think about configuration, this application mostly at the moment contains static uh, uh, templates, but there are some dynamic aspects. I have documents stored that I'm retrieving. I have jobs I could be pulling from the file system or from a Mongo database. I have a contact us form I could be posting to a Node.js action, and that action might need to know email server configuration, MongoDB URL information, and if I submit a resume of any form or upload any document, I may need to know from a node perspective where this uploads directory is. I'm also logging in, registering. I have registration goes into the Mongo database. Login could do authentication against Mongo. It could use Passport, etc. For securing the application on the back end. So let's get to it. Let me show you how to set up configuration in Node.js application. Did very quick research on what to do. Um, my package.json for my Node application has certain dependencies, but the one of interest is nconfig. Nconf is a Node module that I install, which allows me to point to a config.json file, pull in that file, grab the parameters. What I do is I do assertions on them, I log them, and then I use them within my Node.js application. And this is what I'm going to show you how to do that, and I hope you find it useful. Okay, so let's look at the application. Like I said, there is a config file here that I need to load. I need to point to my Mongo database. I need to point to my Node.js information, which, by the way, really could be this. I'm pointing to a docs folder to grab things. I'm uploading files. I leaving these parameters in there just in case I need to pull them with Node.js and send them over to Angular on a startup service or whatever. And my email service has certain configuration data in it. This file could be read-only. This username and password is distributed by Amazon Cloud when you sign up to use their email service on the cloud. You basically start getting charged for it, of course, a small amount of money, but they also give you this information that you could use in your Node.js application to send that email. And I'm sending email in my contact form, which should also persist into Mongo, etc. So let's take a look at the Node.js application. The bottom line is I have a Node.js application. When I start it up, basically when I go to run it, it starts running. It reads in configuration information, and it starts printing it. This is what I'm looking for. What does my property file have? Does it have the proper information? I do insertions on that before the Node application starts. So let me just show you what I did to make that happen. First of all, you need the file system module. I do some assertions, and I kind of need these node mailer modules because I'm sending email with Node.js, but that's not what we're focusing on right now. What we're focusing on is the configuration. Okay, so the configuration uses this module nconfig. And this is what I do with nconfig. I execute this particular command. Now, I'm not using command line arguments. I'm not using system environmental variables. Really, it's defaulting to look for a file on the file system. And so I keep this file right here at this level of my application so it can be found. I believe when I put this out on the cloud, I did have to change it because of certain permission issues. Okay, so now what happens when this code executes? It goes and gets the file, and using the API to the Node.js module, I can go and get my Mongo URL. Now notice where the Mongo was. There's an object with an attribute. So this is a collection, and I'm retrieving the Mongo URL attribute. And I do the same thing for the docs, the uploads, the domain, all the email configuration information. And what I do is I print that stuff out so it comes out in the console using these commands. Okay, so that's how all this gets printed here. Needless to say, I should be showing people my password. Don't try this. Password has changed. Anyway, the Node.js logs that the server is running on a particular port, and etc. So now, I wanted to do assertions to test things. What I basically did, and is I did create a node unit module to do this in my test directory, but I wanted to make sure that these things were defined and are not null when I'm running my app. I mean, you'll find out it's hard to find out some of the things, but looking at the response of my web application, I could unit test my front end, and you could tell that it works. But you'd have to unit test the front end. Whereas I know if these things are all non-null, most likely it's definitely going to work. Now, I could go and change attributes in the configuration. I could add an attribute, whatever, and I do, and I could then save the config. But I didn't. I have the code in there, but I don't really update anything. Now, notice I'm going to be sending email, and what I do is I define this transporter. What the transporter looks like hard-coded, it really looks like this. But what I do is I use those variables that I got taken into pulled that from the properties file, and this way my properties file can be different in dev, QA, and prod, and I could just modify the properties. But this is what it really looks like. It's pointed to the Amazon email service. It defines the port, the user name, the password, and the email gets sent. I receive the email. Now, is there anything else here of any value? Not really. I just wanted to show you how to configure your application. Now notice the transporter is sending email down here with using the contact us action. I'm doing a post. I am sending using the transporter with those configuration parameters, and if you also look at other actions, maybe register user, you'll see that I am using some of the values that I pulled in from the configuration. Well, I'm going to call it a properties file. So the bottom line is this application. When I go to put this out in the cloud or move it around, I make sure that these things are set right. Yeah, when I put it out in the cloud, I might have to change, this directory because the C drive's not out there, and so I need a docs directory. And if I use a different email server, I have to change this configuration.